So for a lot of people this is confusing, but let me be very clear. You really think that the agreement that Theresa May struck this week means that Britain will in perpetuity stay very, very close to the single market and the customs union?
Yes, and I think that's the right thing, and I think we should hold her to that, because that goes to the heart of the question, what sort of Britain do we want to be? Do we see Europe as our major trading partner in the future, or do we want to rip ourselves apart from that?
That's exactly where I want to get to, and your own position. So you want a new treaty giving us the full access and benefits to the single market and the customs union?
Yeah, it'll have to be a new treaty.
And you have said it's a bit like a Norway-style treaty for the 21st century.
Yes.
Exactly. Now, the two things that the EU has made it absolutely clear that involves is, one, you have to carry on paying some money in. Would you accept that?
Norway pays money in. They do it actually on a voluntary basis, not to the budget. But there may be...
Would you accept it,
There may have to be payments that have to be negotiated.
So you could negotiate payments in that thing. But the other thing, as you know, is the four freedoms.
The four freedoms.
Now, you have said again and again that freedom of movement is off the table. It's after we leave, we've left, and all the rest of it. Can I ask you a different question, a subtly different question? Would maximal cross-channel migration in both directions be part of that negotiation or not?
Well, I mean, whatever the rules are will have to be negotiated. You're absolutely right to push me on this, because I've said freedom of movement can't stay the same. The status quo is not an option. That means it's got to be negotiated, and you and others push back against me and say you can't have the benefits of the single market and the customs union if you don't accept freedom. Well, now, as a result of Friday, we've got the EU and the UK agreeing to an approach which says we must retain alignment if we're to solve the position in Northern Ireland. In other words...
So that means people moving across those borders in both directions?
Just let me make this point, because, you know, what's said against me every time I put this argument up is you can't have that, it's fantasy, and therefore, you know, you've got to give up on the benefits of the single market and the customs union. What's clear from Friday is that the benefits of the single market and customs union are integral to Northern Ireland. And what's really important is that...
I just want to say one more time on this question of migration, people moving back and forth between the EU and the UK. It's not a kind of abstruse matter. It's about real people watching this programme. Would Labour, in that treaty, negotiate a system whereby people living in the EU could come and work here freely and vice versa? Yes or no?
That would have to be negotiated, but the end of free movement doesn't mean no movement. Of course we would want people to come from the EU to work here. We'd want people who are here to go and work in the EU. The basis of that would have to be negotiated. But
all right, easy movement if not free.
Yes, of course.
Right, OK, that's really interesting. And when it comes to the regulations, can I be absolutely clear that after we have left the EU, under your negotiation, we would still be mapping, copying and pasting, whatever, sticking very close to EU regulations when it comes to, you know, carrots, car engines, vacuum cleaners, whatever it might be?
Yeah, I mean, what underpins access and the benefits of the single market and customs union is a level playing field, that everybody applies the same regulations and standards. So if you want those benefits, you've got to stay on the same level playing field. Now, the Labour Party doesn't have a problem with that. We do not want to deregulate. We don't want to cut away
the answer to my question
workplace
is basically
rights, environmental rights. Yes, we are very comfortable with staying on a level playing field.